Welcome to Shrimperscast with me, Paul Hill.
And me, Steve Mansfield, on today's show.
Just in time as Rees agrees a deal to buy Blues at the last.
Roots Hall rocking under the floodlights on Tuesday as Southend see off Oxford City.
High Court hearing dismissed as HMRC debt paid in full.
And we look forward to a potentially spicy encounter away against Woking. Hello and welcome to another edition of Shrimperscast. I am sat here with Paul.
Hello.
Hello, Paul. How are you doing?
Yeah, very well. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. It's been a very, very busy week in Shrimpers Land. And, I mean, the place to start really is the big news from Tuesday. So at around 5 o'clock or 4:30ish, the club released a statement which was pretty much the news that all Southend fans have been waiting for, some for 20 years plus, which is that Southend, Ron Martin and the consortium led by Justin Rees have reached an agreement for sale of the club from Ron to the consortium. Yes. How are you feeling about that, Paul, as a lifelong shrimper?
Oh, well, when it came out, I was buzzing. It was great news, wasn't it? But what needs to be really highlighted is an agreement. There's no, firm sale. We're hearing the 1st of November is when the keys are handed over. But, Ron has form and he likes to move goalposts. But the agreement's been reached, so that's positive. What was really positive, though, is that having this debt cleared, we've avoided administration. And I'm hearing that half the debt was paid by Ron, half the debt by the consortium. So that gives me hope because why do that? Why get together and get that over the line? So, debt's gone, agreement in place, new owners coming in, and you can't help but think the future is going to be a hell of a lot better now.
Yeah, and we're hearing that in terms of the setup of the deal, again, this is, not concrete, but from pretty reliable sources, that everyone kind of gets what they initially wanted. So we're hearing that the structure of it is that the club is sold for pennies, and Ron is allowed to build at Fossett's Farm, but without having to build a new stadium because the consortium would prefer to stay at Roots Hall and redevelop that. And as part of the deal, Ron is apparently obliged to contribute, we're hearing 20 million from the profits of the building at Fossett's Farm back to the consortium to redevelop Roots Hall. So the council get their housing that they want. Ron gets to develop the property and make the profit over at Fossett's Farm without that obligation to build a new stadium. And the consortium get the club for what they assume is what we assume is an agreeable price to them, whilst also getting a contribution back to develop Roots Hall. So it does sound like a sensible deal that has obviously been hammered out. Lots of people around the table and kind of come into that agreement. So is that similar to what you're hearing, Paul?
Yeah, absolutely. And everyone wins, don't they? We get our club, Ron is out, Ron gets to develop the land, and we get to stay at Roots Hall, our spiritual home. I think our colleague Bernie hit the nail on the head when he put out a tweet many months ago where he said, we should be just staying at Roots Hall, redevelop that East Stand, redevelop that North Bank as well, put state-of-the-art facilities in there so the stadium can be used, and we can have money coming in from that as well. And Roots Hall's our home, isn't it? And that covenant stays, we still get a club, and everybody wins. From what I'm hearing, it's a good deal. I think everyone should be happy with it.
Good stuff. Again, we do have to temper this a little bit. What's the feeling? Obviously, we were all at the game on Tuesday night, and you caught up with a few fans after the game.
Yeah.
What are people feeling? Obviously, there's a big positive step forward, but there's a lot of unknowns, I suppose, still.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's great that with disagreements in, so Ron, he's nudging closer to the door than ever before. So that's positive. But a lot from what I was talking with fans after the game was, who are the consortium? We don't know who are in this group. And, you do hear stories, don't you, of other consortiums of businessmen coming in, and then the grass isn't always green on the other side. So But, they've all come together, they've put their money where their mouth is and, cleared the debt. They are positive from what I'm hearing from people in the council as well. They are really nice, good people to work with, considering the form of the outgoing custodian. So there are pros and cons to this, but the general feeling is one of relief, I think, that, we are hopefully getting some closure and we can look forward to now some better times at Southend.
Yeah, and focus on football rather than who owns what and, covenants on grounds and property development.
Well, yeah, I mean, that is it. And then, we want to be looking forward to the games. I mean, the boys have been doing fantastically well, but imagine how good we'd be doing without all of the nonsense off the field, minus the 10 points, having a good team, new signings. We'd be right up there.
Absolutely.
Top of the table.
So 1st of November is the date, as you said, when the keys should be handed over. I believe the consortium have said they're going to go through their due diligence process, whatever that means and however that looks. So, I guess some sceptics perhaps out there are thinking that maybe this is another play from the Ron Martin playbook of kicking the can down the road.
Well, yeah, it's got the hallmarks of it, hasn't it? But, again, I think when we see due diligence, I think a lot had already been done because I've met 2 or 3 times. He released a statement as well. So I think this will be more of the finer granularities of the finalising the deal.
Yeah.
And I would have thought, considering the other creditors, it seems they've all been working to pay this off or reach agreements as well. So I think a lot of the harder work stuff's now been done. I think it's just going to be a case of contracts signed on the dotted line and roll on the 1st of November. Only time will tell. Like you say, Ron does like to change his mind and move the goalposts. I think it would be just a fool to do any more damage than he's already done. I think he recognises that. He needs to get in, sign the paperwork, hand over the keys and just get gone.
Roots Hall was rocking Tuesday night. The news of the takeover had just come in. And then a home game straight away against Oxford City, who were struggling or are struggling. We were all there, weren't we, Paul? We all went down mob-handed, Shrimperscast. We actually took some of our kids and stuff as well. And great atmosphere, great performance. What were your thoughts on the game?
It was incredible. Like you say, Roots Hall was absolutely rocking. There was a real buzz around the place following that news of the agreement. And the players picked up on that straight away. I mean, what a performance. Had it not been for their goalie, I reckon we could have been 4-0 up at half-time.
Absolutely.
He was having the game of his life, wasn't he?
Yeah.
But and it was great. It was comfortable, weren't we? And it was great to see it again. Harry Cardwell giving us that goal. And I called it, didn't I? Jack Wood. I told you he's going to score. He's going to score many more as well. I think he's a right talent. But what a great game. And I just think it's what everyone needed. A good old-fashioned lift.
Absolutely. I think first half, from where we were sitting, we were right next to the sort of right attacking flank. So we had Gus Scott Morris in front of us, literally just hugging the touchline. Again, I say this every week, but the football that they play is above the level that they're at. Really, really is. And that was demonstrated by the football I thought that Oxford City played to counter it. Very much, as soon as they got the ball, they just hit it long to their centre forward, and he was just up on his own, sort of in no man's land, trying to kind of bring it down and do something. Southend on the the flip of that, getting their foot on the ball, 1-touch, 2-touch passing, slicing them open. Totally agree with you. I think the keeper made 4 or 5 really good saves in the first half, and Southend could have been out of sight. Second half, slightly different story.
Well, yeah, I mean, you could tell that Oxford City had a few words in their change room because they did come out and they gave it a good go, but we were solid, we were well organised, we didn't need to do anything rash. I think the substitutions made a big impact as well because about halfway through that second half, again, ball on the deck, weren't we? We were carving them open, creating many more chances, a couple of great saves again from the goalkeeper, and it was just a comfortable result. I didn't think they offered too much, Oxford City going forward. Like I say, their man up top was really in no man's land, wasn't he? But there was nothing there to really worry us. And mate, we knew it was going to be a good 3 points going into this Woking game. It had to be a good performance because it's going to be tough. But another 3 points in the bag, get up that league.
Absolutely. And in terms of league position now, just one place to go, if that makes sense, to get out of that relegation zone. And, you know, again, without those 10 points being deducted, clearly Southend would be flying much, much higher in the league. So, yeah, absolutely really good performance at home. And, you know, let's look forward to Woking away at the weekend. Lots of brilliant performances from the Southend players. Hard to pick a man of the match, really. Just, you know, fantastic performances across the pitch. And one performance in particular getting a lot of attention on social media and the sports press, and that was the performance of the referee, Paul.
Yes, and you know what? I've never seen a referee get clapped off the pitch at Roots Hall. In fact, I can't even think of a ref being clapped off the pitch in any game, really. Can you? No. But what a performance. I mean, Kirsty Dowell, female referee in the National League. I believe she's the first one as well. What a career she's going to have in the game. I thought she refereed the game just absolutely superbly, and it was just a joy to watch. And yeah, big future in the game for her for sure.
Next up is Woking away. Southend's form going into this game very good. Last 3 games, 2 draws, 1 win. Cardwell scoring loads of goals. So, you know, Southend will be going in on a high after the news of the agreement for the deal that's been reached as well. And going in confident with the football they're playing and the results they're getting. Paul, looking forward to the game?
Absolutely. It's always a fruity encounter with Woking. The last few games have been, you know, a bit energetic, a bit passionate. You know, there's been a few coming togethers with the players. Kasper Lapota, our old Polish centre-back, he left us, obviously with what was going on at the club with his contract, went to Woking as well, so there's that added bit of spice there for that. But, you know, looking at their form, I mean, not great. In the last 5, they've won 1, drew 1, lost 3, scored 5, conceded 6. They haven't won at home in September, and they've lost their last 2, but they concede and they can score. A bit similar to us on the road at the moment. So I'm expecting plenty of goals. Well, depending on the referee, quite a few yellow cards and red cards. And, well, again, it will be another tricky one to come away with a point. We'll be really happy but there's no reason why we can't go there and get the win. I mean, I'd say their danger man is Ricky Korboa. They're number 7. You know, scored a few goals, but there's no one really standing out for me in that team, considering who we've got with the form of Harry Caldwell at the minute, Jack Wood, the way the midfielder, well, the way the whole team are playing. I don't think we've got anything to fear, and we should be going there looking at a positive result. It'll be a good test. They're just outside the playoffs. Had we not had a deduction, we'll be above them. So, you know, they're just outside the playoffs. Mm-hmm. So he's got that little bit of extra bite to that. But, yeah, we'll get more points on the board for sure. I'm confident of that.
Good stuff. And we're hoping to have our usual man in the stands, Pip, a.k.a. Diversity, come back to us next week with his thoughts on the performance away at Woking.
Top man.
Big thank you to everyone that's listened to today's mini pod. We'll be back next week with a full-length edition. Paul, thanks for joining me today.
Always a pleasure, never a chore, and you know, bouncing off the news of a great week. I can't wait for Saturday, and of course, thanks to everyone for listening, and we look forward to a positive result and a new podcast coming out. So yeah, brilliant. Up the Blues.
Up the Blues.